Hi everybody, welcome to this video tutorial. Today we're going to look at how to mess around with Python's Turtle library. And today, among other things, we're going to look at how to create a game screen, and we're going to look at how to create and manipulate a turtle. I'm going to be using concepts in computer programming that I already know, right? So I already know how to define a main program, which is basically my computer program. I'm going to call a function called setup. And here is my definition of the setup function. At the moment, it just does two things. It creates a game screen, and it also creates a turtle. So to figure out how to do these two things, let's go into the RealPython webpage. And if you scroll to the very top, there's a really interesting series of pages that you can go and look at for messing around with Turtle. Okay. But what we're doing right now is getting started with Turtle. Now the first thing we need to do is check that we've got Python installed on our computers. I hope we do. And then we're going to import Turtle. Now that we've imported Turtle into our project, we can get the screen. Okay. To open the Turtle screen, we need to do this. Now the way that I'm doing it, instead of saying import turtle, I'm saying import turtle from turtle, import everything. Now this, all this means is, for example, in this line of code here, I no longer have to type the word turtle, which gets a bit boring after a while. I can just say s equals get screen. So let's do that. This is me creating my game screen. S, just a variable, call it what you want. Now let's see if that works. Yay! We've got a game screen. So that worked. Okay. Now the next thing we need to do is figure out how to create a turtle. And here we go. Now remember, I don't have to type this word turtle anymore because of the way that I'm importing the library files. Okay, so I'm just going to say t equals turtle. I'm not going to use the word t. I'm going to give my turtle a name. I'm going to call my turtle Fred. Fred is a new turtle. Now remember, this is just a variable in my computer program, and this variable is allowing me to communicate with a turtle object. Okay. Now then, let's see if we can figure out how to move the turtle. Now remember, I'm using Fred, not T. So let's do Fred.forward 100. Should we do that in the setup function? Let's do that. Let's do this in the main function. In the main function, after we set up everything, let's start a race. Okay, we're gonna start a race. So I'm going to define my race function, and all my race function is going to do at the moment is say, "Hey Fred, we're going to move you forward 200 units on the game screen." Okay. So let's run this and see if it works. Ooh, we get an error. Fred is not defined. Do you see the issue? In the setup function, we're creating a variable called Fred, and this is a local variable in the setup function. But the race function also wants to use that variable. So let's make Fred a global variable. Hopefully now the race function will be able to use that variable. Let's see if that works. Yay! Oh, he moved. Oh, he moved. 200. Okay. Now actually what I want to do is ask Fred to start over here. I don't want him to start in the middle of the canvas. I want him to start over here. So let's have a look at how the canvas works in Turtle. The center of your canvas or your game screen is the 0, 0 coordinate. So if I want Fred to move all the way back here, this is minus x. So let's say minus 300, comma 0. Okay, so how can I move Fred? Well, I can use the goto command. So let's do that in the setup function. When we're setting things up, we create our turtle, Fred, and then we tell him to move to the minus 300, 0 coordinate on the game screen. And then we'll start the race. So let's run that, see if it works. Yay! So he moved back and then he moved forward. I don't want to see that line when he's moving back. I want him to run to the starting position and then he's going to start racing. So again, I did a bit of research on this. Let's just see if it's in the changing the pen size, changing the screen color, picking the pen up and down. Ah, yes, this is what I found. When I pick the pen up, it means I'm not going to draw the line. And when I put the pen down, that means we're going to draw the line. Okay? So in the setup function, when we tell Fred to go to the starting position, what we're going to do is pick the pen up so he doesn't draw the line. We're going to move him to his starting position, and when he's ready, we're going to put the pen down. Let's run that, see if it works. This is all happening in the setup function. Yay! So that worked. Okay. Now instead of moving forward this number, why don't we do this? Will this work? I'm going to go back to my good friend, random. And let's, instead of typing in 200 here, let's do random.randint. Anywhere between 10 and 400. Okay, so this is in the race. Fred moves forward a random number of. Let's run it again. Okay, so now it's random. He's moving a random number of paces. Okay. Now then, let's see if after he's finished racing, we're going to display result. And all I want to do is the x coordinate of Fred when he's finished racing. Okay, so display result. After the race, we display the result. So let's go and design this function. Def display result. And what I want to do is print Fred's x-coordinate. Fred's x-coordinate. How do I know his x-coordinate? Actually, I went and looked in this page for that information. I couldn't find it. It might be here somewhere. So I went to another tab and I said, okay, Python turtle x, and I came up with this xcore. Turtle.xcore. This function returns the turtle's x-coordinate. That's what we're looking for. Okay, so let's do, in the display result, Fred.xcore. That will tell us his x-coordinate value. Okay, and we're just going to display that. So let's run the program. And his x-score is minus 283. Let's run the program again. Oh, this time his x-score is minus 79. Okay. All right, guys, that's an introduction to Turtle using some of the concepts like global variables and functions that we've already been studying in the course. Continue to the challenges.